So today's video is going to be about freshman housing and the freshman roommate situation. So at Barnard, all freshmen live in the quad, and the quad is comprised of Sulzberger, Hall, Reed, and Brooks. So Sulz, Reed, and Brooks. And there's also Hewitt, but Hewitt you can only live in if you're a sophomore or above. Then there's also Sulz Tower, which is where I lived this year, my senior year, and that's also only upperclassmen, so only juniors and seniors. So yeah, basically as a freshman, you're either going to live in Sulz, Reed, or Brooks, and I can kind of do a breakdown of each one of those, the pros and cons. So I guess I'll start with Sulz, mainly because Sulz is where I lived freshman year. So I think Sulz has the best reputation, and it's definitely where people want to live. Sulz has AC, which you might not think is like the biggest deal because, you know, NSOP starts in late August and then it becomes September and then it's fall. That's what I thought. I was like, why is it such a big deal to have AC? You know what I mean? It's a huge deal. It was so hot during my NSOP, like literally so hot. New York City is just so hot, even in like late August and September. I don't know how else to say it. I just keep repeating that, but like it really is hot and sweaty and humid and like gross, and yeah, I don't know what else to say other than you're going to want AC. So honestly, that was like a huge advantage, and I didn't realize how grateful I would be for that. And I also like to sleep in a cold room, so that was really awesome that we had AC. And I remember even like other students would be asking people that they knew who lived in Sulz, like, can I sleep on your bedroom floor? Like, it's literally way too hot in my room. Or people were sleeping in the Sulz lounge because Sulz lounges also have air conditioning. So just consider yourself lucky if you get put in Sulz. Sulz is also looks the newest, it looks the nicest, it's the most modern. The lounges in Sulz are really nice. There was like a full kitchen, there's a table with chairs, a couch. So I really liked the lounges. I actually utilized those quite a bit. Like, people would do work there. I didn't really cook there because your freshman year you have to have the largest meal plan possible, which is a ton of swipes. I don't remember how exactly it breaks down, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 swipes a day for weekdays and 2 for weekends, which is a lot. Like, that's a lot of swipes, and depending on your class schedule, sometimes you can't even use them all, but you have to have that big meal plan, or at least that's the way it was for me freshman year. But that was nice because it was like you never had to be worried about food or buying food. So yeah. But anyways, as far as my room goes, the floor was tile. Like, we each had a desk, I'm pretty sure. We each had a dresser to put clothes in. And yeah, I guess I'll go into the particulars of my situation now since we're on Sulz. I was in a triple and I went random. So when you go random, you fill out a housing questionnaire. And the way I remember it, it was basically, it was like a sliding scale, and it would be like night owl to early bird, super clean freak to like lives in the messiest of messes. Yeah, I honestly don't remember the other questions. It was pretty general, and Barnard really like prides itself on matching people up, and I did hear like success stories of people who went random, not so success stories of people who went random. And so yeah, I got put in a triple. I don't really know what it was about my answers that made me look like a good candidate for being in a triple, but I was put in a triple. And honestly, my room was so large. So I was on the 3rd floor of Sulz, room 309. If any of you get that room, hit me up. I have photos of it and I can tell you the layout. And so there was bunked beds on one side of the room, and on the other side of the room it was a lofted bed with like nothing underneath. And then, like I said, we each had a desk and a dresser. And there was a lot of space in the middle of the room, and we ended up getting a rug to like fill it, but it was honestly like space that you couldn't even really use. So it was a big room, but because of the layout, it was just like this huge block of like empty floor in the middle. So yeah, like it was nice because it was big, but it kind of like was like, what am I supposed to do with all this room? Anyways, I had the bottom bunk, and then obviously one of my roommates had the top bunk, and then our third roommate had the lofted bed. And the biggest advice I can give, especially if you get put in a multiple room, if you get put in a triple or a quad, is communication. I think that's where we struggled, because basically none of us had the same sleep schedule at all. Like, one of us would be sleeping, the other two would be awake, the lights would be on, the lights would be off, coming in and out. Like, the mess was honestly never really a problem. None of us were very messy. And also I didn't really mind if like their area of the room was messy. But I think we weren't very good at communicating. Like, I would vent out my frustrations to my friends, but I never dared to say it to like my roommates or bring it up, which is definitely on me. Like, it's kind of unfair to complain about something and then not bring it up to the person who you have an issue with, you know? So that's like a big piece of advice. If I could tell my freshman year self something, it would be like, bring up your issues to your roommates in a nice way. You don't have to be mean about it, but like, obviously nothing's ever going to get fixed if you don't tell your roommates that you're frustrated with something. I definitely would have preferred to be in a double. No freshmen get singles, by the way, but I feel like that's normal. And I actually did. Two of my friends were in a quad, so I guess I'll move on to that now. So they were in a quad in Brooks. Brooks is like the oldest hall part of the quad that you can live in as a freshman. I would rank it last, Souls being the first and the best, the most modern. It has AC, all that. Brooks, there's so much like wood paneling, like it just looks so different. So Souls is like white tile floors, like tan furniture, and then Brooks is just, I think they had carpeting, I might be remembering wrong, and dark wood like furniture. It's just like a totally different vibe, I guess. And it's definitely not as nice. You don't have AC in Brooks, and I remember my two friends who lived in this quad, their room was always so hot. Like, literally unbearably hot. You probably think I'm being dramatic, but especially during the summertime, like, they would try to open their windows. I think they were on the 5th floor, if I'm remembering correctly, so it was pretty warm. For freshmen, it goes from floors 2 to 8, so they were on the 5th floor, which is pretty high up, and like, they would try to open their window, but that let a lot of sun in because it was facing the street. And yeah, their room was just really hot. So if you live in Brooks, I guess just expect to have no control over how hot or cool your room is, which really sucks. Like, that would annoy me, but I guess if you don't mind your room being hot, it wouldn't be annoying. But they had kind of a cool setup for a quad, so I never knew anyone who had a quad in Souls, and I don't even know if there are quads in Reed. But so their quad was in Brooks, and the way it worked was there would be like a room that was a double, and then in the middle there was a conjoining room that was like a communal space, and then another room that was a double. So the quad basically was cut into thirds, and each double was pretty small. Like, they had a little bit of room in between their beds, but it was pretty close quarters, and you definitely like would have to keep the room really neat to have any open space. The communal area, the way they did it was they had desks in there. I don't know if that's how their room came, but I think some of the 4 who lived in there moved their desks in the communal area. So yeah, it was kind of weird because it's a quad, but it was basically split up into doubles, so I don't think you really felt like you were living with 4 other people or 3 other people. But again, I didn't live in a quad, so I'm not totally sure. But like, compare that with my triple, like I was constantly in a room with 2 other people, like there was no privacy. But I think with a quad, it was more like having a double that was connected to another double, at least in Brooks. So yeah, then the third place you could live is Reed, and Reed kind of connects Souls to Brooks. Like, Souls is here, Reed is here, Brooks is here. I don't know, it's hard to do with my hands. I guess if you think about it as this, it's like soles, Reed is my thumbs, and then Brooks is over here. Kind of. I don't know, it's hard to explain. The quad is 4, and the missing fourth like part of this square would be Hewitt. Okay, yeah, but Reed is where Diana and her roommate Romina lived freshman year.
We roomed together freshman year, and then we roomed together all of sophomore year, and then first semester junior year, and then I went abroad. So I had a roommate like until I was a junior, and then senior year me and her got singles right next to each other. So I had an amazing roommate story. I love her so much, Romina. I've mentioned her like 7 times throughout this channel. And yeah, I will say if you want to room with someone, make sure they're the same level of introvert / extrovert as you, because if one person like has people over all the time or like whatever, we both were in long distance relationships, so like that oddly worked out. And so like we would FaceTime our boyfriends and FaceTime them in the room. Like it was very much like we just like were on the same page. Like I don't know, she was a great roommate. Communication is key. Do not be passive aggressive. Do not do it. If your roommate is bothering you, look them in the eye and be like, you're bothering me. That's the only way. And as a good roommate, like check in. Like I was like, is it okay that I'm FaceTiming? And she was like, yeah, of course, like it's your room. Or like, is it okay if we throw a party? Like we planned for like a few months to throw a party in our room. It was a Vine party. Yeah, okay. Bye, Margaret. I love you.
And it's basically like souls, honestly. It's very similar. I'm trying to think how they're different. They like look pretty similar. I'm not sure if they had AC or not, and that's a big thing. Like if they had a radiator that they could control, I'll have to ask Diana, and I can put the answer here. Does Reed have AC? But yeah, Reed was pretty nice. I feel like I would rank that second. So if I was gonna rank the places you can live as a freshman, it would go Souls, Reed, Brooks. And yeah, so I guess just general tips with your roommate. I'm going to have the clip of Diana talking about requesting roommates in here because that's a whole different thing, and like I said, I didn't do that. I think there's probably, just like anything else, pros and cons with living with your friend or someone that you know. But as far as random goes, like I don't regret it. I had no other options. Like I didn't know anybody who was going, so what else could I do? As far as like the matching, Barnard's ability to match people well, I have no idea what made me a good candidate to be in a triple. I didn't love being in a triple, and like me and my roommates, none of us really became friends. Like it wasn't like 2 of us were friends and 1 wasn't, or all 3 of us were friends. We kind of just really did our own thing, and in that way it was very positive because there was no awkward like, you guys are friends but I'm not friends, or like I'm friends with one of them but we don't like you. Like there was none of that. I think just personality wise we were all very different people, and we, I don't know, just didn't really become friends outside of the room. The biggest negative for me living in a triple was that I never had any alone time, which drove me nuts, because when you live in a room with 2 other people, chances of you having the room by yourself for more than like an hour are really slim, honestly. So I guess just be really honest about the way you answer the questionnaire, because I think the mistake I made was I was way too like unrealistic with my answers. Like I needed to be real with myself when answering the questionnaire, and I think I just didn't take it that seriously. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just fill out this little questionnaire. But like, this questionnaire is what is going to give you a roommate and possibly put you in a multiple occupancy room. So take it seriously and don't have your head in the clouds. Like say you're a messy person, don't put that you're not a messy person if that is wishful thinking for you. Be honest, because it's only going to annoy your roommate later on if they see, for example, that you're a messy person, but they got matched with you and they're a neat person. You get the gist. Just be honest with yourself, because like the results actually matter. yeah, so as far as my triple goes, like I didn't like the fact that I never had alone time and we just didn't communicate well. So I guess in a way it would be advantageous if you were more friends with your roommate or you picked them, because I think that opens up the lines of communication. Like I never once aired my grievances with my roommates. Like I just swallowed it all and like complained to my friends about it, which was probably really annoying. So sorry if you had to hear me complain. And I was only making the issue worse for myself because I was making it so that there would never be a solution. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. That is what each of the dorms is like that you will possibly be living in. That's kind of the roommate sitch. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you are really having a horrible time with your roommate or your roommates, if you're in like a quad or a triple or anything, I'm pretty sure halfway through the year, at some point, maybe earlier, we got an email about requesting a room change. It was probably halfway through the year because then over winter break you could switch. So you can request to change your roommate situation. I think you might be able to put a preference for where you want to live. Like say you live in Brooks and it's not ideal for some reason and you need to live in Souls, I guess you could request that. And I think really at any time too, if you're having like a horrible rough time, contact your RA, contact Res Life, and they'll definitely try to be accommodating. So yeah, those are my thoughts on freshman year housing. Leave a comment below if you have questions or if there's something I didn't cover, and I will definitely answer it. Leave any requests below, and thank you for watching.